Hi, welcome to M4G Advocacy Media. Thanks for joining us. This is the Journey series video podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Crystal.
And today we have a guest with us, an author, Shai Anbar, and he's going to tell us about his book and about his journey that's led him up to this point. Hi, Shai.
Hi.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a,
Thank
it's a
you.
true pleasure. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us. So just start wherever you want, sir. Wherever you're led.
Sure, my story is a patchwork quilt of a life where demons and angels and passions battle it out. Restrain me. uh, but in two words, well, with one word, my story is advocacy. If I look at my life right now, it's more like a holy trinity in a way. I'm not sure holy, but definitely a triangle when it comes to the man I used to be. Uh, you know, that's number one. Number two, obviously, is the stroke that happened to me about 11 years ago. And when aphasia barged into my life, to stay, and of course, finally, the better man I am, which is in a journey that has no, destination, but in different ways, but definitely not boring. I was born in Jerusalem, in Israel, 62 years ago. I came to the US actually when I was 15 years old, and my dad had an assignment for 3 years, and obviously people like me, when you get to the age of 18, you have to go to the army. So that was a 3-year assignment from my family, coming to the US. You look at in Israel at the time, imagine like it was the US in the 40s or something like that. When I get back to the when my family moved to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, I was just like, I was in heaven. I was like, oh my God, this is, first of all, I for the first time, I saw and watched color TV, talking about 1975, and of course, I've, my shrine and my temple for those 3 years was McDonald's, which fast food didn't really exist before. But I actually graduated high school earlier. So the last year before going back, I enrolled at was Rutgers Camden, and I was in love with philosophy. And coming back to the army, I said, I got to be back. I have to go back. And about 4 years later, I was came back, continued my education after Rutgers was Temple University in Philadelphia, but still philosophy. And I wanted to teach, but there were no jobs available. And so somebody said, oh, we have a job for a logistics company, it's like an Israeli desk in New York. Go to the thrift shop and get a jacket and a tie, and good luck. I said, okay, maybe for a day or for a few, maybe I'll continue I'm definitely not going to be for logistics, but we'll see what happens with the school. And guess what? 20 years later, from a customer service, at 20 years ago, and my last job was CEO for a different company. So I had it all. The man I used to be had it all, really. From a successful career, monetary rewards, family. I had 2 kids, and at the time still married. Friends and languages. Languages, which is I had a huge passion. I lived through my career. I lived and worked in Italy for 3 years, and the fluent Italian. I stayed also 3 years in Belgium and studied French and Dutch. Moved on to New York and Argentina and Miami, and Spanish was perfect. I have my Hebrew English. Even at high school, I studied German, and then at college was for 4 years Russian. So, and I just loved it. But I loved it all. I just really happy. I was a very happy and busy man until my stroke happened. And in one full swoop, I lost pretty much everything. Friends, which is, by the way, very interesting how when it comes to aphasia, how so many friends called to be, used to be friends, ran to away, and so, for good and bad side. Some just like, okay, Shai, let's leave him alone. He let him, and the other one just like, aphasia, what? No, thank you. And but obviously, my career was finished. My marital woes were also kind of. I just had to get away and be alone. I lost my languages, except my thankfully was the English and Hebrew, albeit broken as it is, but most importantly, I lost my dignity. For about a year or two, it was like pure hell for me. I was living alone, isolation, the frustration, the anger, the hopelessness, gloom. And frankly, I didn't like myself until I got shown the light, and it's a little bit of it's not just seeing the light. It's not that I didn't see the light, but it's almost like I got shown the light. So, and for me, it was obviously from my aphasia. She or it, we'll talk about that, but the relationship with me and my aphasia. But when you've got nothing to lose, when you have, all you have really is you have you, and if you find it, which is a struggle, I did. So things like transparency and humility are which I will tell you more about it, but I embarked basically on a journey, on a journey of exploration, and recovery, discovery, and transformation. Discovery, it's kind of like the unexpected, right? Aphasia came into my life, obviously very unexpectedly, but I also surprised myself. Recovery, I think I started some support group with speech therapy. I don't know how I did it. Somebody dragged me out there. I think one of my gurus from a place that's called Adler Aphasia Center, but where I still am. I'm a devotee and a member. But and suddenly for me, it was like, oh, there's a little bit of laughter. There's a little bit. It's kind of fun, communication, and so it took a while coming out of the isolation, and I started with enrolled or participate in research studies. So, with universities, and I have, which is kind of a win-win for everybody, I hope. But I like being a guinea pig, so bring it on when it comes to aphasia. Helping the clinicians understand our condition is a great thing. So it's a wonderful thing, and when it comes to a better man, which is this journey, I came full circle, coming back to my roots, to the passions that I really loved when it comes to my cooking, my guitar playing, languages, and of course I embraced the trauma. I think part of it is acceptance, obviously, which is not easy, but part of it the trauma, but that's where I'm at right now. Goddess Aphasia, which is my book, which is actually published just a few months ago, available at Amazon, and it's kind of like a business card for me, as an Aphasian, bringing more awareness. This book is a foot in the door, again, getting out and telling my story.
Yeah, well, you brought up that obviously before the stroke and before aphasia, you had it all and you were happy, and lots of good things were going on in your life, right? So by your estimation, you thought everything was perfect, right? Or that guy who you were thought everything was perfect, and then the stroke and aphasia came along and sort of something or someone pushed you in a different direction or led you in a different direction. So, and you've said a few times the term better man. So, I don't know, what do you have to say about that?
Sure. I think the first part of it, of the man I used to be, was I was happy enough, but I have so many, I was surrounded with material, things and all kinds of, it's like a calendar with so many things that you're too busy, you know, kind of like the John Lennon, song lyric or something about life is what happens to you when you have other plans, in a way. But this is I was so busy when my career. I liked it. I was traveled all over the world. I was, but I was not happy because I wanted more. It was not really my thing. Even my marriage situation was not. Well, it's okay. She'll take care of the kids, and but I'm so busy with this, so that's okay. And the music that I wanted. Yeah, but I don't have the time for this. The cooking, the things that was my joy. I no, I was too busy with other plans. So I think what happens with the stroke is that, and the aphasia, and when the fog dissipates a little bit, then I found myself. I'm just like, okay, I was so like a butt naked, without, we don't have the money anyway. You don't have the friends anymore. Well, what do you have? And I said, well, I actually like it. I don't care about that. Can I get back? I have so much time on my hand. How about, can I cook more? Man, I love it. My guitar is with me. It's a menage a trois with me, aphasia, and the guitar. So but it was a revelation in a way. It's almost, I called it like I think transparency is, it's like the truth serum injected into your mind and I had I had no attachments and strings in every way, anywhere from monetary ways, and so I was so much much better. When I call it the better man, because I'm everything is so clear in my world, and that's what how did what the guitar brings, music and cooking, creativity brought inspiration, into my life. Everything is a half full glass with me. We battle, perhaps, probably all of us, we have our bad sides of things, and you get up. There's always blessings and curses, mix, but we try to balance, in the best way. I've battled with the demons, because they're there. They're tapping on my shoulder all the time. Why are you doing this? Why I shouldn't? But I said, no, Shai, you're better. You're okay. It's a, so it's that's what I mean with the journey. I'm climbing, but every day it's there's no purpose that is going to be. You reach to destination, but it's so far. I'm very, blessed, because in a way, I had to take out mental crutches. No, I need this. I need something. I got to find me, and I battled with myself. It was, in purgatory. So, right.
Listening to you talk, it certainly is, we were talking with someone the other day that, disability is like having a reflection and it for how other people treat you and how you are able to reflect on things that happened before in your own life and see, no, I don't want that anymore. But we've been told so many things and bought into so many things that, that we now have the ability to be able to say, nope, no, not subscribing to that anymore. So the fact that you are now able to look away from those things and realize those were probably not, or obviously not the way that you want to live anymore. And the ability to, obviously, with aphasia, you have to have a lot more patience with yourself. And you obviously, just like me, have been able to figure out the people that have the patience with you and don't try to feed you crap. You're able to now discern those things. And I've talked to so many disabled people that are now able to do that. And the fact that you are now living the way you want to live without subscribing to all that stuff is truly a blessing to many.
Well, thank you. And you said a key word. You said about patience, which I have none. But I'm working on it. I'm really working on it.
Right. It
But
takes time.
Oh yeah, it is, and I think part of it, and this is, look, my aphasia, and I should say my companion. This is aphasia, which is, by the way, my book, it's Goddess Aphasia, is a stroke survivor and his dual muse. So there's a dialogue between I created a character, and her name is Aphasia, of course, and and we have a dialogue. So you look at patience. I don't have patience for this, but if you get a little bit of humor and a little bit cynical, but if you, because who are you talking to? You're talking to yourself. I mean, aphasia is a mirror, a reflection of you, because this is you. It's not, but you can talk about the duality, the dualism with it, but it's I'm a philosophy major, so I'm, I should
Really, I
just,
can tell.
yeah, but it is, but sometimes when I just have to laugh at myself. I've kicked, my own butt if I can, because at the end of the day, there's you got to go to sleep tranquil and not, so look, we're all of us in Aphasians, all of us with disability, sometimes we're trapped in gate community. I say, the gates are never locked, but come out and at your leisure, it's truly nothing to be afraid of, right? We're grateful for having caregivers, healthcare professionals, family members, friends, but like I said, people sometimes run to the hill and avoid contact, and you're feeling awkward and unsure what to do. It's one thing to lose certain abilities, but it's another not to lose your identity. you
Right.
know, and purpose, and the people that you love. So I'm containing aphasia's unkind nature, but trying to transforming my inner, for the better, swallowing my pride, and my losses, as heartbreaking as they've been, but I've just I made my mind to help people understand that our lives, can be close and should always be integrated, and connected. And that's kind of, so, your patience and that's okay, but, let it go, just open the floods, and bring it on.
We had also discussed where people confuse the aphasia with you having cognitive impairments. It's not so much about you not knowing about things and not knowing how to implement things. It's the fact that those words, that's what aphasia is. You cannot grab the words you need at the time you need it. I get that. It's something like, as you said, you don't feel like you have patience. Well, when I've dealt with it for 24 years now. So, over time, you definitely learn how to deal with it, how to make it work, And I mean, not that I certainly still struggle with it on a daily basis. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this, there it's especially hard to be live or to do this video podcast, because if I don't have it, I don't have it. So I'm sorry, you're going to hear me like, but it is what, I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to apologize for it, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the see, there we go. I don't have the ability to be able to have those conversations and bring up those important topics. It doesn't, and I'm sure it's the same way with you. You have a lot to talk about, a lot to share, a lot of experiences that you want to help other people with. But people have to get over the fact that there's going to be some awkwardness to it, But if you're patient and sit there and listen, then you're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah. No, totally. It's also there's different shades of this aphasia. I don't understand aphasia. I mean, I'm trying to understand, myself in a way, but I get into these, studies with the, or I should say more like a group, a support group, or when you. I don't really know how they like. I couldn't. Nobody can pinpoint on what is, I can see people who are so struggling with only to take out the words out, and I'm trying to do with my Spanish now, which I used to do it, and now here I am, trying to speak, and what's this word, and just. It's so frustrating. I just think that all of, I'm just trying to really understand the best I can, with this aphasia. I'm asking the aphasians, which I'm going to a conference this week, North Carolina, just why am I going? I want to listen to them, and if I actually have a break, a coffee with somebody, I would say, okay, this studies that I'm the guinea pig. So what did how can you help me, in every way? And I don't know if there's, give me some data, I mean, but it just everything is so difficult, and to me it's the trauma that I said I'm trying to accept. I mean, I accept it, of course, and it's outside the not out of our control. But I looked at at my I was, after my army in Israel, I was I was enlisted. Actually, I volunteered. Silly me. To, and it was a Lebanon War, 1982. I was there for a month, but there was part of the trauma that I have is I look at my situation right now. I'm more, I, I've lost, lives and losses, but I'm trying to say that it also it'll make us stronger if we do it right. If we find ourselves in deep distress, we have the courage and the will to open those, letting sadness out, compassion in, so I think it's up to us really to dig deeper and understand ourselves better. I mean, I'm not a gambler or wrestler, seeker of danger. Part of me it is, but I mean, this is what's in my nature is exploration, and I always wanted to know more and learn more. I want to experiment more. I wasn't I wasn't the kind of person anxiously waiting for the next adventure, but if mystery or uncertainty piqued my interest in love, in war, I tended to grab hold with both hands the best I can. And sometimes, yes, there are some things that fall right, and break on the floor or something like that. That's who we are. It's it's not our fault, Aphasians. But it's our responsibility just to embrace who we are and seize the moment. You know.
And also, it's very easy to determine the people around us that are accepting and not going to take advantage of our whatever our disability is, and especially if it seemingly is inconvenient to them, and they're having, they see your like you're saying your aphasia, it oftentimes people think that you are not able to get out what you're trying to say. And it's not that, it's that they're not giving you the agency to do so. They're not giving you the courtesy of the patience to be able to find those words to do so. And that's when you have to say, okay, I have a lot to say, and I know internally that I can really be helpful to the world or be helpful to whoever's around me and is perceptive to what I'm going to say. So if you're not that person, get out of my way. So how do you feel about that? I'm sure that you've dealt with that as well.
Yes, I'm lucky, because I have too many you know, Aphasians who are not in the the capacity to express, and and I'm lucky again that I'm able to have a conversation like with you. That's my duty. My obligation is to tell the stories. I'll tell his and her story the best I can, but of course it is
Right.
the example that I gave with the the Spanish. I have my Duolingo app, that I do religiously. Same thing with the Italian. I do the best I can, and it's so frustrating, But it's all I want to be is I'm trying to be the ambassador of you, not me. I'm lucky that I'm here to tell a story. It took me 7 years to write this book, novella, 7 pages, 7 years, because it's you have one. I wake up in the morning and I write something, and I look at it the next day and I said, what was that? And the construction of words, and it's like a Lego that was completely out of whack, and it's so difficult, and so it's all I have is this you know this business card to come out and tell everybody's story, but you do it, exploit and do it the best that you can. I needed my meditation. I needed for the wheels that's spinning in my brain in neutral. Always it's I needed quiet. I really, really, really needed, and and suddenly the rustling leaves, and I've tried to find myself even without words. I do. My cooking is without words, and my music is without words. But I just hope that I will just give you. I'm trying to nudge you, Aphasians, to find different, interesting, the best, so I'm just kind of lucky that I have, I have that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
from
We're all.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna add that we're all lucky we have our respective issues or disabilities, and it's a shame that no one else sees it that way. I mean, among the people who are not disabled, disability of any variety is viewed as some sort of imperfection.
Yeah, and it's and I know that sometimes I get into a little bit of a controversial, uh, when it comes to how people perceive us, but how we perceive ourselves. Sometimes, I'm, I see stickers on that always, where it says aphasia is a words lost, but not intellect. That's okay. We got intellect, and I was kind of like said, well, hang on a second, I mean, it's a, yes, you bring the science, you can say, yes, you have intellect, but here I am, I'm trying to have a conversation with a subject matter that's been interested, and I lose, and I can't, do anything with it. So what's the point, in a way, kind of, so I don't know. I think it's a, and I have too many examples where I had to walk away with a tail between my legs because my intellect did not, help me, you know. So, but okay, and I said I don't like to wave the flags about intellect. I think it's just us, all of us. We have to just get back to work with, to try the best that we can, and all these things we said, before about, because you are so good, and you are, uh, you know, my best word or two words that I can get etched in my heart, and is I am, you know, and you are, and all we are, there's the light is yours, your aura is there, you are beautiful, we are beautiful, so you know so I'm so I think that it's shame on us, to the people who are, say, the people who understand the situation and don't even care what aphasia is, or ataxia, or other things like this. I mean,
I'm trying to remember, maybe you guys can help me. We had discussed specifically about aphasia and how, it allows us, goodness, to be able to, kind of back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, how we've been fed so much stuff. It allows us to not talk about those things, but what's in our mind, I can't even try. I said it perfectly in the pre-interview, but I can't remember what it was. And I definitely want to put it in the episode. Um, can we pause for like 5 minutes so I can? So, Shai, in the pre-interview, I was talking about how having aphasia is a gift because it allows us the ability to be able to think before we speak. And where a lot of the world doesn't do that, they just kind of openly just say whatever they want without considering how it's going to sound, how it's going to make other people feel. We have the ability to really think about what we're going to say, mostly because it's trapped up here. Secondly, because we can stop and put the pieces together about what we want to say, so that it doesn't step on toes so much. So maybe after I was explaining that, you talked specifically about a chapter you wrote on, it's kind of like crutches, you said?
What kind?
After I explained that, you mentioned you have a chapter in your book about sometimes people use their disability as a crutch.
Right. Right.
Do you recall where that was, Shai?
About the crutches. Yeah, I said it was like a mental crutches. Right.
Right.
Right. You want me to read from that?
Um, it, it's, if you could.
Yeah. Well, let's see if I get the right one. I have to find that. Miss Peggy, this is Jerry. Page of boards in. I know it's there. It's got to be there somewhere. It's got to be. Let's see what it is.
Do you
Very close.
remember? I found it.
I'm just trying this about. I think it's going to be somewhere. The first one is like about the kind of like sitting in my bench in my backyard, looking at the huge trees that circled me, and it's kind of a little bit of like meditation kind of thing. Then I say, okay, come on, Ephesians, let's celebrate with a song. And I go, all we're saying is give peace of mind, and I said, okay, we get the gist, but let's just give it a chance, I say. You see, one consolation of aphasia is that it's relatively easy to turn off our brains, turn out our outside world, turning out the outside world, the way our stressed and overloaded mind can take. So go ahead, relax, meditate, enjoy spiritual connection if you'd like. Come and sit in sacred gathering of your choosing, like my favorite yoga, blah, blah, blah. I challenge you to put down your figurative canes and crutches and step out of your comfort zones. We still have to battle our own demons after all. I know I do, but there's something inside of us that's greater than any obstacle. So why not try to see the light in a different, perceptive, and blissful way? Even if we claim to be fulfilled, why not venture to some higher ethereal grounds? And then I go, I can hear the grumble, so hold your horses, Ephesians. I'm too much of a realist. For me, connecting with my spirituality doesn't necessarily require the presence of gods or goddesses, deities, wandering souls, or pseudo omnipotent string puppet masters. I don't particularly care for astrology, moon celebrations, Reiki therapists, fortune tellers, crystal healers, shaman sorcerers, psychics, priests, rabbis, and Popeyes and Babais. I respect it all, but it ain't my cup of tea. I talk about pure state of being uncluttered from anything and everything that might litter our mind and our egos. And then I talk about the consciousness. I mean, it's too much, or?
That's perfect. Wow. I want to listen to that. Is it on? Can you also listen to an audiobook?
I mean, I don't have audios, but I can do it for
Mhm.
if you want it, just tell me what I can do it, of course. I mean, the rest of it talks about, I mean, the end of it is the consciousness is a shapeless, boundless, and endless life
No, no,
force. And
no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like I wanted you to do audio right now. I meant, can you go get it from like Amazon or whatever? Uh,
Is
can
there an
you buy the
audio book
audio
for?
book? It's available that.
so, you want me to read it?
No, is
No,
it available?
is there an audio version of the
Oh
book
yeah,
available?
sure. I mean, I wish I need to make one. I'll have to find someone, somebody to do this. Well, I can do it. I mean, I don't know how to do it. I'll need somebody asked me. A few people asked me, but I never had an audio
Yeah.
so far.
You should do it because I mean you're very well spoken and you
And
read well, you know,
it's
and you
also
have
more
a
authentic. Sorry,
Yeah.
no, you're good.
it's also more authentic if you were reading it. 'Cause
Mhm.
then, if someone non-disabled is reading about aphasia, there's some sort of a disconnect there.
Right. And not only that, that says a lot about you and your abilities
Yeah,
you do have. They might see the only ability you have is flawed. Okay, well, say you have aphasia, but you have so many other qualities.
and that would also send a negative message to other people with aphasia, like their aphasia is something that has to be hidden away.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, you should definitely read it.
Hmm. I'll find it. I have to find out. Yeah, I should do a audio at
Yeah,
some point.
and all you need is a computer and you can record it. Obviously, you'd want to make sure things are silent around, like no motorcycles are going on or dogs barking, but you know, who knows, that may add to the atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hear you. So look, it's up to you what you do. I have one poem, obviously the poem that I gave you, so you know what it's about. Just a man and his pain, whatever. Which is, it's the only thing in this book is it's to start the because it's obviously me and aphasia, the man and his pain, whatever. There's one about the intellect one that I know that I lost track with things about it, but I can always read something to this or not, whatever you prefer.
We're going to add that you reading that in there in our podcast, but we just want to be able to share with our audience that's
Sure.
watching or listening. We want to be able to tell them, hey, whatever your abilities are, whether if you're blind or deaf or whatever, you have both options to read it or listen to audio.
Right.
Because obviously some people with vision impairments or whatever, um maybe trouble concentrating, they're gonna find reading a book hard.
Right.
Right. I know. I've seen. I know there's a few people that said, "Can you do it audio?" Or some people who really, it's very difficult. I know that. I know. Listen, it's in a way, and it's almost like I'm not trying. I mean, it'd be great for aphasians to read the book if they can, but the most important is to take it to bring it out to people who don't have aphasia and
Right.
understand what aphasia it is. So it's
Right.
right.
But sometimes, though, it requires someone with a disability, in our case, aphasia, to be able to share their works,
Sure.
to be able to get it out there in the public somewhat, and then hopefully it takes off in other areas as well.
Right. No, you're right. It's, so tell me.
What?
Are there any other projects you're working on, Shai, or it's just pretty much trying to get the book out?
The only thing I'm you mean a podcast? You didn't say, you said podcast? No,
No, the book.
the
You're
book.
trying to promote the book.
Yeah.
Is that the only project you're working on, or is there stuff?
No, well, part of me is in May, coming May, it's going to be the National Stroke Awareness Month, and so I have already about three, and hopefully more at libraries to speak. So obviously, libraries are not for for selling books, but you can. But again, it's not about the money, but it's about I can
Right.
speak about aphasia, and so I take some of the book is things like that. So I'm going to be at the conference at Aphasia Access. That's called Aphasia Access uh, uh, in North Carolina for summit leadership, whatever. But it's one of the clinicians is they have a poster, whatever, with about the book about my so. Uh, more than that, and the research studies and universities to hopefully that to like I said to them, you can share or you can put it on in the research library, which is or something like that. That's what I do with this book. I mean, the reason that I'm here with you, this is not to promote. I mean, if so I get into some talks that I'm a guest, about aphasia and through this book. So if you have any more ideas, bring it on. I would love to. It's what you're doing is like fantastic, and I saw and the question is how do you bring it, again, I call it like our community or gated community. So, the disability and we talk about people that have disability, and it's wonderful. How do we get it out? How do we, what do people know what is, ataxia and this and aphasia? It sounds like Greek words, which is, this is why I put it in my book, because this is Greek mythology for people, so why not bring, Aphrodite?
Such a clever title, because it does. Aphasia sounds like a Greek goddess kind of thing.
Yes.
I remember one question that we addressed before that maybe you can talk about now, which is to do with the title and your selection of the title, and I guess to Crystal's point earlier, the name Goddess Aphasia implies that, typically gods or goddesses are ones that bestow gifts or talents on people, right? And what did that have to, how does that relate to the title, or does it?
Right. So I chose in my book, I chose the metaphor of goddess, and I chose it because I wanted to spread, obviously, the word aphasia. The people don't know what it is. So I said I wanted for aphasia to be not just a medical textbook, So I'm thinking, aphasia. It is a Greek word, you know. Why not bring up Greek mythology? Aphrodite, Athena, aphasia. Now we're talking. Uh, and there's more than that. It's the trials and tribulations, like people like me, and diagnosed with aphasia, and people that have to deal with this condition. I was lucky, shown the light, deep within me, finding the truth, the love, the spirituality, and a slice of godliness. Because we are, right, God. We have a piece of godliness in all of us. So if my aphasia is part of my, I'm divine. I have a part of divinity in part of, in me, and aphasia is part of it. Then why not goddess aphasia? And that's kind of how I, weaved, bringing a little bit of, again, spiritual light and godliness into, in our lives.
Here's sort of a side question. So, in Greek mythology, Aphrodite is the goddess of love. Athena is the goddess of wisdom. Uh, Aphasia, what is she the goddess of?
Well, she's obviously nobody. It's for me, it's a goddess of the.
You talked about patience before, maybe that's it? Patience?
That's definitely part of it. It's a goddess of well, for people could be a little bit of healing. Part of it, but I think, well,
I would say grace, patience, and grace.
Sure, and the goddess of acceptance for us, perhaps. I don't know. It's a aphasia. If you look at if we go into ancient stories of mythology, and you look at the scorpion and the frog, so the aphasia is the one who bit you, but she also, now that she already bit you, well, now she's still, she now helps you. So it's kind of like the yin yang, and and how you balance and accept and persistence, which is part of it. And there's a lot of different interpretations, I guess, but it's a heck of a good question, But I think it is a goddess of me, and this is what I am, in every way, and to accept yourself and to understand and to leave out really at the essence of you with then that's my aphasia, and
And where can people reach you, Shai, if they want to learn more about the book?
Well, if first of all they know where they can find it in the Amazon. If they know that, if you just Google the goddess Aphasia, I don't think there's any other one. You'll find me in Facebook on my page, or the one for goddess Aphasia that's also there, and contact me anytime.
How do people contact you? Do you have email?
You can use it if at your discretion, obviously, with no problem. I'm not. So you have my email, so you can use that. Shai Anbar.
Yeah, and we'll put the link to the book in the show notes.
Right.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I don't know how to do the link, but if you
Oh,
go
that's
to
okay.
Amazon,
We got it.
yeah, just goddess
Good.
Aphasia, and then it'll pop in.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Do you have anything more to add? Or
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, Shai.
No, thank you. I mean, I've never been in a. I spoke for 20 minutes or somebody for 30 minutes, but when this is the first time in my life that, I mean, after the stroke, of course, and it's not sometimes not easy, as you know, but I'm just grateful, and that you came to me and just edit the crap out of it, as you know.
Yeah.
We will.
We'll leave that part. We'll leave that part in where you said edit the crap, just because it's funny.
Exactly.
But thanks a lot, Shai.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.